In this video, we're going to go over installing WordPress. Now, there are two ways to do it. If you hosted with HostGator, as I had suggested, you'll have a 1 or 2 click install on there. Let me just show you here. What you want to do is log into your control panel. And to do that, it's usually your domain name / cPanel. Okay, and it'll look something like this. You can change the themes on here. Now there's a lot to the cPanel. I'm not going to really go over all the things you can do on here, but this is where you can set up an email account. So you can just go into here and set up your email accounts. And there are several other things you can do in here. However, this is not a tutorial on your cPanel. But what I was getting at with the one-click install, let's roll down here. And you'll see something called Fantastico Deluxe. Click on that. Okay, and then in here you have several things you can do, and one of them is WordPress. So if you click on WordPress, brings up a window like this, and it'll show any installs you have down at the bottom, but you'll see new installation. So if you click on that, okay, so here is our domain name, classicrvs.info, and if you have added some domains to your hosting account, which you can do if you bought the baby account or the business account, you can just click this here and it'll show your other domains. Okay, and then down here, this is the install in directory. So if you leave it blank, it'll install right in the root directory. In other words, when we typed in classicrvs.info into our browser bar, the site would come up right away. Now if we put something in here, say blog, we would have to type in classicrvs.info/blog to find it. Okay, so that's what this is for. So we're going to install it right in the root. I'm not actually going to use the WordPress install here because it is not the most secure way to install WordPress. But I did want to show you that you can use it. Alright, and then you put in your admin data here, so your administrator ID and password. Down here you can give yourself a nickname, and then the email address, and then you can give your site name here and a description. Click install WordPress, and then one more click after that and it installs. However, this leaves footprints about how your blog was installed and some information about it, and hackers look for this information, so I don't suggest that you use this method. Now, using the manual method is not difficult at all, and it gives you much more security. So this is what I'm going to suggest. Go to wordpress.org and then go to the most recent version and click download. It'll go to the next page here, and then you're going to download the zip version and then save it somewhere on your computer. Okay, so here's our file. So what we want to do is you want to unzip it. If you do open, or if you do send to, you'll see compressed zip folder. That's a built-in into Windows. I've installed something called 7-zip, which does basically the same thing but a little faster. If you want to use 7-zip, you can just do a search in Google for it and install it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do extract files. Click OK, and that just extracts everything into a folder for us. Okay, so if we double click on this now, and then you'll see in here there's a WordPress folder, and then if we double click again, these are the WordPress files. So what we need to do is upload these files to our new hosting account. Now to do that, you need something called an FTP client. What it does is it uploads and downloads your files using the FTP protocol. Now the one I suggest is called FileZilla. And if you just do a search in Google, you'll see FileZilla, the free FTP solution, and you'll see client download, and that's what you want. You want to download the client. And then there's a Windows version here, so you can download from SourceForge. Okay, and then the download should start all by itself here in a second. Okay, so you can just download this as well, and then install it. Okay, so you just have to double click on it to install it and just go through the wizard. And then when you're done, you'll see something like this. Okay, so on the left hand side is your computer and on the right side is your server. So what we need to do is up here where it says host, we type in our domain name. So classicrvs.info, the username we set up our hosting account with, and the password. And then you can just click Quick Connect, and it'll connect to your server on this side. Now there's also a site manager, and you can put the entry in there, and then anytime you want to connect, it'll be in your site manager. So let's connect up. Okay, so at this point we've now connected up to our server. So what we want to do is upload the WordPress files. We're going to put it right in the root directory here so that it'll be seen right when we type in the domain name. Now, in my case, I have this as an add-on domain name, so it's going right in the beginning directory. However, if you just set up a new hosting account with HostGator, you're going to see when you first connect up, you'll see in here something called public_HTML. You need to double click on that and go inside there before you upload your files. Okay, so here's what I mean. If you look on the right side now, you'll see public_HTML. And when you first sign in on a new hosting account, you're going to have to double click in there and then upload your files inside there. However, since this is an add-on domain, I don't have to do that. I can just log in and go straight into my add-on domains root. Okay, so let's go over here and then inside the WordPress directory, and then we want to select all these. So Control A selects them all, and then just click up, right click and click upload, and that'll upload all of your WordPress files for you. Now while that's uploading, let me just explain what I just said about add-on domains. If you purchased the baby or the business account from HostGator, you'll see add-on domains. What that means is after you go inside here, you can add as many other domain names to this hosting account as you like. You don't have to buy separate hosting for each domain name. Okay, so that's what I meant by add-on domains. Also, while that's uploading, we need to create a database. WordPress stores everything in a database that stores the data so that everything can be changed. So if you roll down in your cPanel until you see databases, and then you'll see something called MySQL Database Wizard. Click on that. Now here you want to give it a database name. In front of that there will be fixed characters there. Those indicate your account name. Okay, but you have to use the whole string. So let's call this WP test. You can call it anything you want. There's no restriction on what you call your database. Let's go to the next step. What we need to do now is create a username for the database. Databases are protected by a username and password, so not just anybody can get at your data. You can call this anything you want as well. I'm just going to call it the same name here. And then for a password, you want to use a strong password. You'll see password generator. Click on that. It'll give you a password here. So right click and copy it. And then say that I have copied this password to a safe place. Now, what you want to do is open Notepad on your computer. Okay, and let's just paste our password into here. And then let's use the password. Okay, so you see it's very strong. Create the user. Now at this point we need to give it all privileges because we want this username and password to be able to do everything with this database. Okay, and then we want to go to the next step. Okay, and we're done. We've completed the database. Okay, so from here, we'll say that this is our username. So copy that into your data here. So this is user. Now in my case, it was the same, but you don't have to do it that way. So paste that in there. And database. We need this information during our WordPress install. That's why we're putting it in here. And it says here, added to database. So take this and copy, paste it here. Okay, we now have our database information. So when we're asked for it, we can just copy it straight in. So let's go check how our upload's going. As you see, it has uploaded everything. So now all we got to do is type in our domain name, classicrvs.info. Let's type it in. Well, let's open a new window here. classicrvs.info. Okay, so it's telling us there's no WP config file. So we'll create a configuration file and it'll go ahead and do that for us. Then click Let's Go. Okay, so at this time what we want to do is put our database name in here. So let's go back to our WordPress data here. This is our database name. So we'll copy it in here. Our username, we take off the same data off our sheet. I named it the same, so I'm going to do that. Password, back to here. And paste it in there. And then your database host name. If you're using HostGator, it's going to be localhost. However, if you're using something else, it may not be. So the way to find out is to go back to your control panel for your hosting. And you may not have control panel, you may have a Plesk or something like that. But what you're looking for is phpMyAdmin. So click on that. Okay, and then look at the very top, and it says localhost. So that is the name of your database host name. And if it's different, then you'll go ahead and change that in your install. Okay, and then table prefix. You can install as many instances of WordPress in one database as you want. Now what it does is it uses a different prefix for each install. Now don't use WP. Again, this is a problem that hackers try and exploit. So change this to something else. I'm going to say CLRV. So for classic RVs. And click submit. And run the install. Okay, site title. Now this you can change later. So we'll do classic RVs. Username. Do not use admin. Pick something else. And then your password. So do something fairly strong here. Okay, put in your email address here and whether you want to allow the search engine to index the site. Okay, and you do, so you can leave that checked. Yeah, let's install WordPress. Okay, and now it has installed it for us. So let's click Login. And there we are. WordPress is now installed and ready to set up. In the next video, we're going to go into the setup process for our blog.